Good morning, Grinders. Welcome to the DFS pregame show here on RotoGrinders. I'm Jordan Cooper, aka Blender at Blender HD. You're going to follow me there on Twitter. And this is the show where we review yesterday's slate a little bit, go through results TV, talk maybe about today's slate, maybe early. Do we have an early slate? 3-game? Isn't there like a first game of a doubleheader? I don't know. Kind of a weird slate. Because it'll kind of eliminate batters from one game and whatever. We'll talk about that maybe a little. We got a later slate today that's 10 games. And as always, this show is primarily guided by you in the YouTube chat. So you ask questions, I have answers. So if we don't go over something, oh, you didn't talk about today's slate, it's about the YouTube chat. So I say hi to my people in the YouTube chat. Give me those thumbs up, thummy thumbs, give me the thummy thumbs. Give me the subscribey scribes. Give me the notification belly bells. We got Suki Singh, Matt Rowland, Jerome Lewis, Doug Montgomery, Joe Mack, Hog Lawrence, Card Fan, Anthony Golden, Michael Dompe, Sterling Woods. Matt Rowland says, I used to look at MLB DFS as getting the right players instead of getting the right lineups. I've won a lot more since I started to listen to you. Well, that's probably a bad thing for me, right? I hope you're not playing my contests, right? Don't move up. Hopefully you're playing the mini-max. Right? That's what I say. I'm helping too many people. I hope they don't move up to the larger field contests, to the higher stakes stuff. Eventually, 4 years, 5 years from now, I'll be broke, right? Because everyone's going to be better than me. Let's see. Going through Michael Dompe last night. So many top 2 to 3% finishes in large field with Flaherty. Yup. Sterling Woods, great show with Ship My Money. Yeah, if you want to check out my recent episode of the Theory of DFS podcast, that comes out primarily on Tuesdays. We have a conversation about optimizer settings and downswings and whatever. So that was we want to spend some time listening to that. Yesterday I had a good day. Yesterday, I made money, but I didn't have the perfect lineup. Played a lot of the Angels. Okay, great. Played a bunch of the Red Sox, but I was under the field on the Red Sox. Some of the teams didn't do well. I had a ton of the Braves. And that didn't really work out. But I had a ton of Eric Fetty and JT Brubaker. The problem was that I also had Flaherty and Burns. I don't think I made a mistake yesterday, but it turned out to be almost catastrophic from the amount of lineups that I killed by doing it. Because we have these pitchers, right? Pitchers yesterday. We're going through results DB. Flaherty, 44%, Burns, 36%. They were the 2 highest projected pitchers on the slate. But if you were to play them together at their prices, it kind of forced you into certain stacks and certain lineups. So being on a 14-game slate, do I really want to play a 44% owned pitcher and a 36% owned pitcher together? I chose not to. And obviously that kills me more than had I played them together. And why is that? Because I played 40% Flaherty and played 40% of Burns, right? So 80% of my lineups had one of them in them, and they both busted. Well, Burns didn't bust, but 9.5 points ain't going to do anything for you, really. I was way under on Morton. I had a lot of Luzardo. I had a lot of Fetty. I had a lot of Brubaker, who did well. I had some Tyler McGill, but I also had some Giant stacks, so that didn't work out that much. Looking down here, I didn't have anything that low. I didn't play any Dylan Bundy. Eli Morgan was 8%. I didn't touch him. Marquez got, I can't believe this, 13.8% owned on a pitcher that we knew the game was postponed 20 minutes before 8:05. So thank you for paying the rate. How could you not switch out your lineups? I mean, Neil couldn't get him out of 2 lineups here. So he got stuck. He got stuck with 2 lineups with him. Other than that, I mean, look, good players don't have. I mean, I just X'd out the game. I listened to Roth's report on crunch time. It's part of premium. So if you want to click on the link in the description, get $10 off your first month. You can follow him on Twitter. I'd say 95% of the stuff, you might as well just follow him on Twitter. It'll tell you all the deets. But on Crunch Time, the main thing he was going over with, like, he's looking at the coverage and the storms coming in at around 8 or 9 o'clock, and he's like, I wouldn't put my money behind any. Like, he's like, the pitchers don't even bother with, and I'm not even sure if the hitters are safe at all. He said if they want to play this game at like 10, 11 o'clock at night, I guess. But he's like, he can't possibly see how there's a game that's going to happen between 8 and 10. And then they issued a flash flood warning. And if you listen to Crunch Time, you hear he's updating that throughout the course of the show. So after hearing that, it's like, it's a 14-game slate. Like, how desperate am I that I need to play German Marquez? Or I had some Colorado beforehand. Like, I was playing like 4% Colorado stacks. I'm like, it's a 14-game slate. Why even bother? Yeah, the ownership starts going down. Yeah, you can get German Marquez at 13% though. So yeah, but look, I'll play some Eric Fetty. I'll play some Luzardo, who didn't get there. Right? I'll play some Brubaker. I'll play some Bumgarner. I play a bunch of Luis Garcia, right? Instead of Flaherty or Burns. That worked out. Like, there's so many more options. This isn't a 5-game slate. So I just, like, I at 7 o'clock lock, 7:05 lock, like, I just had none of that to begin with. So I didn't even have to swap anything out. But the fact that 13% still had Marquez in the lineup. I mean, really? People that lazy? What happened there? Bumgarner was 21% on, which is way over what I thought he was going to be. I mean, most people were under. You can see here the sea of yellow in pitcher-wise. I mean, even sharp players didn't have yeah, Burns, the Colts, 53%, but like nothing, like we don't see blue here. We don't see lock them in type of stuff. If anything, we got some people, bro, Mr. Good Seats, Nerdy Tenor, way over, need lunch money. I mean, for the most part, other than maybe Squirrel Patrol right here, maybe Neil Orfield, like Fetty was good. I would consider a sharp play yesterday. Same for Luzardo. Some people didn't, right? Yeah, 0-0-0, but Cheese, 18%. The Colts, 15. Nerdy Tenor, 22. Bro, Mr. Good Seats. I think Luzardo was projected much better in the bat than most other places. So if you use the bat more than anything else, probably got more Luzardo. But it also, well, if I used the bat, I would have gotten too much Luzardo, and the bat sucks. Well, the bat was also high on Fetty. So I mean, so you also got a lot of Fetty, because Fetty projected very well in the bat as well. Same for Brubaker. Brubaker actually had a decent projection in comparison to like guys like Cease and then down at Sammy Long, Julio Urias, those types of guys. But Cease had a good game. What, 28 points, 1.9% though. But that's what we do. We're going through results DB for these lines. Let's go to batters. Let's take away the pitchers here. You can see that the highest owned teams were actually the Red Sox and the Indians, and a lot of these ownerships come from the pitcher combinations. This is the main reason I didn't want to play Flaherty and Burns together, because the Indians projected well and was cheap. The Orioles projected decently and cheap. The Rangers, like the vomit stacks they had to play, were actually going to be owned. So a lot of lineups were Indians plus Red Sox or Baltimore, and then we get to the Angels. Outside of Ohtani, I think the Angels were underowned yesterday, even though they projected to be like one of the top, 4 owned stacks. But their pieces outside of Ohtani were not that dramatic. I mean, Walsh was 8%. We have Goslin 7%, but like the bottom of the order, I played a bunch of Lagares because he was 2K at the bottom. He was 2% owned. Joe Adele at the bottom of the order, 2% owned. You could have played Angel stacks even with Ohtani and still had your total lineup ownership pretty good. That's what I ended up with, because I was over the field on the Angels, but because I condensed my, I limit my total lineup ownership. Like, yeah, I still got Ohtani, but not. I only had like 8% Ohtani yesterday, but I had Angel stacks that had Iglesias and Marsh and Lagares and Adele and Stassi. and Ohtani also. And the same thing for the Red Sox. Like, take a look at the Red Sox here. Schwarber, 18%. Bogarts, 14%. Devers, 12%. Verdugo, 8%. But let's take a look at Renfroe. 2%. Because from his median projection, he was slightly overpriced. But from a ceiling perspective, it's Hunter Renfroe. He's a home run hitter. So I had Red Sox stacks because they were going to be, I thought the Red Sox were over-owned yesterday. But the over-ownership comes primarily through like Schwarber and Bogarts and Devers. So as long as I'm not playing like two or all three of these guys, I'm playing Vasquez, I'm playing Renfroe, I'm playing Travis Shaw at first base. Like the bottom of the order, you can still play the Red Sox. So these are those cases that on a 14-game slate where I'm playing 100 lineups. Like the Red Sox projected well. I thought the Red Sox as a whole would be over-owned. But it depends on what lineups, what stacks. This is why people ask me, it's like, well, do you think that, should I play the stack or not? It's like, well, it depends on it depends on the lineups. If you thought the Angels were over-owned, then you said, oh, well, I'm going to play the Angels just without Ohtani. Well, now it's not over-owned anymore. Now it's under-owned. If you can say, I'm going to play the Red Sox, but I'm not going to play Kyle Schwarber, then you're fine. Right? So when you see these metrics, like on Slate IQ or in Lineup HQ, or you run very rudimentary simulations or something, and you're getting this average of like, oh, on average, this, they have an 8.6% chance to win, and they're going to be owned 11.7%. Like, well, that's the averages of all of that. It doesn't mean you have to play Schwarber, Bogarts, Devers, Verdugo, that type of line. You could play the good team, just play them differently. So that's what I was doing with those teams yesterday. Like something like the Braves, I don't have to worry about Gil Heredia. I thought the Braves were low enough owned as it is. So I'm not going to Soler and Duvall and Swanson and Riley and Freeman. I don't mind. They're already low owned. Right? Albies, 7%. Like, I don't have to make Braves stacks different. I have to make the Angel stacks different. I have to make the Cleveland. I think I may have one or two Cleveland lineups. But I'm not going to play Ramos, Rosario, Ramirez, Miles Straw. Find a different way. Daniel Johnson hits a home run. It's like, oh, well, I didn't play Daniel Johnson. What was Daniel Johnson? Look, he was bad. Look, 0.76%. You could have played a Cleveland stack with him, right? Some people did. Barely. He's a pinch hit risk, right? But that's what you're looking at. You're looking at lineups, not players. I mean, take a look at Piano Club here. Look how low exposure he had to all the chalk. I mean, just really across the board. Look at all this yellow. Yeah, Hubro decided to play some Twins and Red Sox. He was over on them. But still, like, that means no Indians. That means no Lane Thomas. Why were people playing Lane Thomas yesterday? I don't know. It's even on my radar. I don't think I had any Lane Thomas. Why was Varsho owned at 9%? Why, did people just watching game logs? I don't even know why. Some of these things I don't even know why. I don't even know. People that aren't even in my player, but Carter Kaibu. People played the Nationals yesterday against Luzardo. Okay, I guess so. I guess I didn't get to the Nationals because I was playing 20% Luzardo. That got me nothing. Got me negative 0.1. This is what you should be doing every day, just looking through. Did I make similar decisions to other sharp players? So, and did I make the similar types of lineups? I can understand there's some people that didn't play Eric Fetty. There's some people that did. It didn't mean like, oh, one was right and one was wrong. It's like, well, look at how they built their lineups. Going through the YouTube chat. Jim Steele. Since the All-Star break, it seems like the highest priced pitchers are not hitting value at a higher rate than before. Do you see this, or is it just variance hitting all at once? Probably just variance. Also, we don't have that many really, truthfully, we don't have, there aren't many high-end pitchers. High price pitch. It's not, has nothing to do with the price. It has to do with the quality of the pitcher. Highest priced pitchers, when they're Jacob deGrom, are fine. When the highest priced pitcher, we had a slate the other day, Jordan Montgomery was 10K. Do you consider him to be an ace pitcher? No. The difference between Corbin Burnes and Jacob deGrom, I think, is humongous. And Corbin Burnes is one of the best pitchers, right? Lance Lynn. I don't consider these guys, they're maybe the best pitcher on the slate, but I don't think these are infallible pitchers. So I think it's more of the perception. Oh, high-priced pitchers. They aren't, yeah, but well, when the highest priced pitcher is 9,300 Jake Odorizzi, yeah, I think he's more likely to fail than 11K Garrett Cole on a slate. I think that's more likely. Flaherty, yeah, Flaherty is a good pitcher. Do I consider him an ace? Something that's like, oh, I got to jam into 50+% of my line? No, even against the Tigers. So yeah, you may be noticing higher priced pitchers are failing more often, but those pitchers on a slate where Jacob deGrom is 11.5, those pitchers would only be $8,800, right? And you wouldn't notice them. You'd be like, okay, a bunch of mid-price pitchers. Some did well, some didn't do well. I played a bunch of Luis Garcia. He did well. He was priced as high as I think 100 higher than Flaherty. That's why he was only 6% owned. But is Luis Garcia any worse of a pitcher than Jack Flaherty? Really? I don't think so. Corbin Burnes. I think Corbin Burnes is a better pitcher, but by how much? That much? That you feel like you're locking in Corbin Burnes? Give me 8 strikeouts. No, take a look at the season. It's not that. They're much higher variance than you think they are. And there aren't that many ones that aren't high variance. And most of the ones that aren't high variance are injured now, right? Aren't even pitching. But Michael Dompey says Marquez completely outperformed McGill, Flaherty, and Luzardo. Yeah, if you played Marquez, you're right. You're right. Maybe the 13% of people, they actually had better lineups than a lot of my lineups. Actually, they were over the field on a better pitcher than me. That makes it even funnier. Right? I'd rather have Marquez in those lineups, right? My Flaherty lineups. Right, I should have just left money on the table and put Marquez in there, right? McGill, yeah, screw it. Play Marquez instead. Well, he's not going to pitch. Well, okay, it's better than -5. Let's see. Yeah, Michael Dompey is saying that Ranger Suarez and Taylor Hearn did well and the bat was on them. The bat wasn't on them. It's just they were cheap. From a point per dollar perspective, you know, when you project for like 11 or 12 points and you're like 5 or 6K, like, okay. Doesn't mean their ceiling's high. Let's see. Joe Clary, in lineup HQ, why do you build by fantasy points and not ceiling for GPP? Wouldn't ceiling make you more unique with better chance for high score, but obviously increased variance? Most projections are normally distributive, so it's not going to really matter that much. Like the difference between the floor and the, like they're all like proportionally with each other. So like whether or not I build, so like for instance, let's do this. They're going to be slightly different, but I mean, projections are mostly put in like by a normal distribution. So the space between the median and the ceiling, like for the bat, it's the 25th and the 75th percentile. If it's a normal distribution, it's going to be even on both sides. So building by floor or building by ceiling or building by median is going to give you the same thing. If you're solving a knapsack problem, it's going to be the same thing. So I mean, we could do that right here. Let's go unique players 1. Let's bring this down to just 10, right? Let's set whatever. That's fine, right? So we have build using fantasy points, which is medians. Okay. So if I want to show just, I don't care about the stacks. Just, well, let's do it by stack. You're right, because we're going to play. Let's do a 5-3. Right, number of unique players. Let's build 10 using median. Just gonna have to go through a bunch. Maybe I should have done 5. This will take a minute. Okay, not that long. Okay, so we're doing just by using median. I'm going to show you that it's not going to be that much different, right? So 111.04 with the median. So this would be a Woodruff, Wheeler, Angels, Twins, right? These are the tops, right? So you're getting a lot of twins as of right now. It's 10:20 a.m. Right. So take a look at this lineup. We're going to switch this over to ceiling and build 10 lineups. Now, if you have projections that are not normally distributed, then this would be much different, possibly. But here, okay, that same lineup. Here's the difference. Okay, so this Snell Wheeler lineup. Where's Snell Wheeler? Down here, Snell Wheeler. I think this is the line of Snell Woodruff. Okay, so we have Snell Wheeler. This is the lineup: Woodruff, Wheeler, Stassi, Walsh, Iglesias, Marchadell. So no Ohtani in the Angels. Well, obviously because he's pitching. Polanco, Donaldson, Kepler. Isn't that first lineup that's up here? Yeah, that's the exact same lineup. So the first lineup by median. Hold on. First lineup by median ends up being the second lineup by ceiling. Because most players, like the projections here are not perfectly normally distributed, but they're very close. They're off by like maybe 1%, maybe 1%. Non-normally distributed. It's kind of slightly like leans. Certain players lean slight this way and slight that way. So if you're going to build lineups, you're not really building lineups that are that dramatically different. Right. So here you get by ceiling, you're getting a little bit more Blue Jays, and here you're not getting as much Blue Jays. Because obviously Blue Jays would have higher. In general, the Blue Jays are a much better hitting team. But how much are you increasing by? We're building 10 lineups. They're going up a little. So here's the Red Sox. Here's Red Sox. This is by median. You're going to get the Red Sox, the Padres. Like we take a look at the stack summary, the combo summary. Minnesota, Boston, Boston, Minnesota. Right? You're going to get Minnesota and a bunch of these. Right? Over here, you got a stack summary, and it's pretty much the same thing. Maybe very slight differences between lineups. But I mean, these lineups as a 5, they look the same. They look similar. So if you're building 100 lineups, like what is it? Unless you're inputting your own projections that are not normally distributed, like it shouldn't matter. If you build by median, build by ceiling, do whatever you want. I'm using the lineup HQ to build the lineups I want to build. It's not telling me what to do. So to me, it doesn't even matter. I mean, I could zero out the projections and still make the same lineups. So I've already made a decision. I'm going to play 12% of the Braves. I don't care what at that point, I don't care what the projection is. Yesterday, I was playing 12% of the Braves, and I wasn't getting enough Freddie Freeman. So you know what I did? I bumped him up. Yeah, but the projection says it doesn't matter. I've already made the decision that the Braves are under-owned against Andrew Heaney. And if I'm going to play 12 lineups with the Braves, I don't want only 2 of them to have Freddie Freeman. I want at least 6 of them to have Freddie Freeman in it. So I'm going to force that. Even though it lowers my projection of the lineup. I don't care. I'm betting on the Braves. I'm using the optimizer to build the lineups I want to build. I'm not letting it tell me what to build. The projections there are for guidelines. Because yeah, obviously if I put it all to 0, it's gonna treat Gil Heredia the same as Freddie Freeman. So what does that accomplish? Unless I want to go and set a min-max exposure on literally every player in the player pool, it's probably better to leave the projections in there. But you can. I've done that in MMA. I don't care what the projection is. I'll put them all to 0 and then set the min-maxes and just build the combinations. My total fantasy points will be 0 of every lineup. I don't care. Do I have all the combinations I want? There you go. That's it. Upload. Hit that thumbs up button in the YouTube chat. Thummy thumbs. Give me those thummy thumbs. Feel free to post your stuff. That's it. It's the dog days of summer. We'll be getting into September. Once September starts, we got NFL back. The MLB is going to be kind of silly with the call-ups and everything from the minor leagues. We can have some showdown stuff. September and October, and then basketball comes back. Like this show is going to be, it's going to be whatever. It's going to be guided primarily by you. So maybe we talk NFL some days. Maybe we talk MLB. Maybe we talk NBA. Maybe we talk showdown something. Maybe it's golf. Maybe it's soccer or MMA or whatever the hell's going on. It's primarily based around strategy. So it's like, you're talking about golf. That means I could turn it off because I don't play golf. No, you could learn how to play DFS well by even listening to strategy from other sports. There's a reason why good DFS players tend to be good in every sport. You go, how much did I know about MMA before a year and a half ago? Nothing. I watched UFC back in the no rules day, right? Back in the mid 90s, when I was a teenager. It's like, Ultimate Fighting Championship, no holds barred, whatever. It was on pay-per-view. My friend had a hot box, right? That it was cracked, whatever. Go over there and watch, Hoyce Gracie and they didn't have weight classes and there were like pretty much no rules. And they had to fight like 3 times in the same night. Like back in those days. Like that's when I did Ken Shamrock and Dan Severn, like that era of UFC. But now I don't know anything, right? And that doesn't mean I can't play well, right? Started playing NBA in 2017. Haven't watched NBA for 15 years since then. Win some GPPs in that. So you could learn even with the other sports. You could learn by looking through Results TV. People are so short-sighted by like what is going on today. Right? What is going on today? What can we learn? Who's going to hit a home run? Are we playing Edward Cabrera tonight? Are we? I don't even know who that guy is. He's going to be 20% owned, apparently. Miami pitcher? Does he have a pitch count? He's making his major league debut. He's a young pitcher. Struggled with walks, but he has a high strikeout rate against Washington. So we doing that? 5 strikeout prop. Okay. Is that what we're doing? Is that the pitcher we're stacking against? You could stack, play the Nationals against him. A lot of people are going to play him. Just like up here, it's going to say Blake Snell against the Dodgers. Are people going to do that? 5% owned? I'll take a shot. I don't think it'll be 5% owned, though, even against the Dodgers. What's there to talk about? Like, if you're not going to type in the YouTube chat, there's not much to talk about. Daniel Hutchins. The first NFL Classic slate on September 12th includes a $5 contest with nearly 1.2 million entries. You going to play that? I'm going to max that. $750. You're going to need the nuts. I don't know. Nearly 1.2 million entries for the $5 million. Yeah, that's a harder contest to win now than the play action was. The $3.20 max, that was like 700 and whatever thousand entries. Michael Dompey, if you were going to make one lineup for the early 3 games slate, okay, let's take a look at the 3 games. I don't even know. I've not even looked at the 3 games slate. Let's take a look. You asked, I answered. Okay, do we even have an Astros lineup in? Okay, the Rockies-Cubs game is good. Is a 7-inning game, right? And they're playing a doubleheader. I'm assuming that's already reflected in the projections. I'm assuming. Let's see here. We still have, yeah. Lane Thomas. People playing Lane Thomas today? Where are we going? Early. I want the early slate. Let's see. Who's the chalk? We don't even have ownership, but I could pretty much tell. Probably McCullers is going to be owned, right? He's the highest projected pitcher against the Royals. You're going to make one lineup and just play a Royal stack. I mean, what other pitchers are going to be owned? Like Marquez would be owned, but the Cubs they're only going to play 7 innings, so that kind of limits the ceiling. So let's say you. I mean, we don't have ownership, but I'm going to assume the chalk combination is going to be something like McCullers Marquez. I mean, what else would it be? Minor against the Astros? So if we put together Marquez, so this is what you do to research, okay? So I'm just gonna build 20 lineups, right? I'm gonna build stacks, just 5x, right at this point. Maybe even 4-3 now, just 5x, just to see. So what I'm gonna do is I'm looking for what the chalkier builds are gonna be, right? So I'm putting Marquez and McCullers together, and we're getting the Tigers against Leicester. Stack summary. The Cardinals, the Astros, the Tigers. Right, because they're cheaper in order to fit these two higher priced pitchers. And Marquez isn't that higher priced. So this is kind of what chalkier lineups would look like, most likely. Okay. Remember, I just looked at the slate like 2 minutes ago. So I'm just going by the numbers. So if that's what is going to be the chalk, okay? Marquez, McCullers, Cardinals, Astros, Tigers. So now who's pitching against the Cardinals, the Astros, and the Tigers? Skubal, Minor, Lester. Okay, who projects better? Now let's see if what we do is we don't play. Maybe we still play Marquez, but we don't play McCullers. So X him out. Now what do these lineups look like without McCullers? Okay, you're still getting Cardinals, right? Right. You're spending most of your salary, right? Tigers, you're still getting this. Let's say you were to play the Royals. Can we possibly get the Royals? I mean, because that would, to me, that would be it. So you go here, you go, okay. We're gonna end up playing one of these other pitchers. Let's see what these Royal stacks look like. Right, McCullers probably don't play this other game, so let's just 100. Let's go. Let's see what these Royals look like. What do you mean no? What I'm telling you. It's saying no. It's saying no to me. Okay, so I have to two little uniques. Okay, 49-4, 49-7. So you're playing Davis and Marquez together, right? Because it's hard to even spend up your money, right? That's the pro. Well, maybe you leave money on the table. Yeah, let me set my salary floor even lower to 47,000. What's Davis's projection? Just raw point wise, it's the lowest. So I'd rather have one of these other pitchers. So get rid of Davis now. Okay. Probably gonna be Marquez and something. Marquez and Lester. Look how much money we leave on the table now. Maybe instead of playing a 5-man Royals and leaving so much money on the table, which you still can do, we don't make a 5-man Royals stack. So let's do it that way. So instead of 5x, we're going to do something like maybe 4-3, 4-3-1 with the Royals. Okay. Now we're kind of getting up there from a projection standpoint. Lester Marquez. Or maybe we use the Royals as part of a 3-man stack. Let's take a look at 3 threes. It is a small slate, so do you need 5-man stacks? Not necessarily. So let's look at 3 threes. 49,000. Perez, Dozier, Benintendi with Lester and Marquez against. So we're not getting any Detroit then. Oh, we're getting some Detroit if you want to play Skubal. Leaving money on the table. Let's say we want to make sure that we're getting, good hitters or something. Even though, like I said, I think leaving money on the table is perfectly fine. Let's raise that floor a little bit to like maybe 49,000. Playing single entry, right? Maybe not leave that much money on the table. Do a 3-3-1 lineup. So you go. It's a similar lineup as before. So you're stacking against Skubal, Perez, Dozier, Benintendi, Altuve, right? You're spending as much as your money. You're playing Lester and Marquez. And if you don't want to play Lester, you want to play Minor instead, fine, play Minor. I think Lester projects slightly better. Here's Skubal. And so instead of playing Skubal, and you're not playing Cardinals, but you're playing Nicky Lopez there. But this is what I'd be looking into. I think the main thing that I would do, I just don't think stacking a 7-inning game against a high on Marquez is worth it as much as and Marquez is only 8,300, while McCullers is 2,000 more. And the Royals will get at least 9 innings of play. So yes, in one lineup, this is how I would be thinking. I would, if I was playing the 121 today, maybe I will. Maybe we'll do that. Is it still available? Let me check. Let me check on my phone. I will actually do it. Why? If I'm just doing it on the show, why wouldn't I play this line? I mean, I eat my own dog food. Like if I'm going to build and say this is what I would do, then why the hell not do it? Let's see. Do we got the 121 still available? Let's see. Doing it right on my phone. That's a late slate. Early slate. Not really. We got do I want to play the 333 like that? The warning track, 3 max, the base hit. I'll play a bunch of the single entry. I'll play the $12 single entry. We'll put it into stuff. So maybe do we want to play this lineup, the Lester? I can't believe I'm playing John Lester. Right? It doesn't even get strikeouts. I mean, really? Do I want to play Minor against the Astros? What do these team totals look like? 4.95. 4 point. Well, also Lester's going to be facing the pitcher from the Tigers. Okay, we're playing Lester. We're playing Lester. Okay, we're doing that. Right? I didn't even plan on doing this. Well, how do we build a lineup and then not play it? So do we want to play this Lester Marquez? Like this is right underneath it. 49.7. We're playing Story. I don't want to play Story. I don't want to play anyone from that game. Lester Marquez, Goldschmidt, O'Hearn instead. Now let's play this. Let's play this. Let's play this line. We're gonna do it. We're doing it, people. So I'm gonna put in Lester Marquez. I just want to show you that I'm doing. What time is this slate? Oh, it's a 1:15 slate. Okay, I can put this in later. Okay. I thought this was like 12:15 slate, and it would take me time. So I'm going to end up putting it in a bunch of like the smaller single entry. $12 single entry, $5, the $20 3 max, the $44 1K to first. Like instead of putting like one lineup in, I just like in all of those like at once and just play it in all those contests. I don't want to build multiple lineups. They have one lineup. But yeah, this is what I would do. And if McCullers goes out and just wipes out the Royals, then I lose. And that's it. That's the simplest way of doing it. The other way of doing it would be to play McCullers and stack against Marquez or maybe not stack, but you're playing like 3 Cubs hitters against Marquez. And you know that the 7-inning game batters are going to be much lower up. You could do it that way. I'm not ruling that out. Trevor Story will be lower on than he should be because he's playing in a 7-inning game. So, or maybe he's not because there's not much else available at shortstop. It could be that also. But that would be the thought process. So I just went through the thought process. If you decide a different direction, you go, I want to play a 5-man Royal stack. Go for it. I'm not sure if it's necessary. But the Royals should be the lowest owned team on the slate. I mean, it should be. I mean, the Cubs will be the lowest owned team on the slate. The Royals will be the second lowest owned team. Because Marquez will be high owned, and then the Cubs are only going to play 7. Going through the YouTube chat. Alex Hooper, is there any equity in playing chalky lineups and contests where it's only almost 100% sharps? Talking like $25 king of the pitch qualifiers. Pretty much no one captained a favored Antonio in a showdown. I mean, I don't know anything about that slate. And he says he's trying to get me to take his money in the king of the pitch and 555s instead of our weekly head-to-head. Well, I typically don't play the $25 king of the pitch qualifiers. I'm too good for that. I don't play that. I typically don't play the king of the pitch qualifiers till later in the season, if I do it all. Like last year, I didn't need last season. I didn't even do it because those slates are awful. Those this and then this and then this, the mix, not staggered starts. I just didn't need soccer was not that big of a priority for me last year. But why would you want to play chalky lineups in contests where it's 100% chalk? Most likely in the smaller field stuff, the chalk is going to be even chalky. A lot of people are playing their cash lineups. You should be playing more contrary. And he's clarifying. Chalky in my question, meaning what would be chalk in a $1.20 max, but somehow unduped in a smaller contest where everyone is trying to avoid dupes. I don't think everyone is trying to avoid dupes. I don't know what size contest you're talking about, though. Talking a 20-man contest. Most people are playing a cash lineup or something very close to it. So if you're gonna say you're gonna play a chalky lineup, that's essentially what you're gonna be playing also. Going through the YouTube chat. Number 427, Blender, you don't usually check the running exposure box. Actually, I do. I just don't leave it as a default. Doesn't that cause the higher projected fantasy point players to be selected first, leaving a lot of minus EV lineups on the back end? Well, it depends on how much randomness, how much unique players. That doesn't necessarily mean that. And it also depends on how you organize your Excel sheet. Like the point is that I do running exposures because like I don't need okay. I play all unique lineups into GPPs. So my Excel sheet with my CSV, with my entries, like when I say like yesterday, I played 80 lineups into the main large field, but I also played the 20 max. And I also played the 121 single entry. I organize my Excel sheet so it's more random. The 121 is my first line, but then it's like the $12 lineups or whatever the large field Jeep, whatever it is, $18, whatever it is. And then intermix, there's, a $4 lineup. And then intermix is another $4 lineup, kind of randomly throughout it. So I don't do like, I'll sort by price, right? By entry fee. And then what ends up happening is like I have a chunk of lineups that all have like similar players more towards the bottom or more towards the top. Yes, running exposure percentages, running exposure checkbox could mitigate that a little, but not as much as you think. But since I'm already kind of mixing up my CSV to upload anyway, like I've already gotten that done. I've already got like it's already going to be like maybe this lineup's in the $4, maybe that lineup's in the $20, maybe like that. I don't know. So I don't worry about it as much. But obviously, if you're playing 100 lineups into the same contest and you're not doing anything else, like then who cares? What does it matter at that point? Running exposure percentages works in tandem with like number of unique players. If you're only using number of uniques 1 and you want more diversification than that, but not that much more diversification, then I could see doing that. But on some like yesterday's slate, I had such of a mix of teams. I had this at 4. I wanted more diversification. All of these are just levers to help you with diversification, depending on what you want. What are you building? Yesterday, although I had 12, like my highest exposed team yesterday was the Braves at 12%. I mean, like I played, how many teams did I play yesterday? I think I played like 14 teams yesterday. Yeah, I may have only had 2 lineups with the Indians. But there are some slates where it could be a 14-game slate. Maybe I have 25% Braves. Maybe I decide to X out half the teams in the slate. Now I don't need as much unique players per lineup because I know I'm playing a lot of similar lineups to each other. So maybe I'm only 2 for those. But when I decide to do it that way, and maybe then I care more about the running exposures. This is why you look at the lineups. You build, you press the button, and you look. Like you said, when you talk about the clumping. You do that because you don't want you. If you set your exposures in a way where it's like yesterday with Burns and Flaherty, like if you set your lineups like, oh, I want 50% Burns and I want 50% Flaherty. Well, it could be that the top 50% of lineups have both of them in it, and the bottom 50% have neither of them. It's still giving you 50% Burns and 50% Flaherty. So if you just looked at your exposure numbers, right? Oh, well, I got 50, I got 100%, I got 80%, so I'm fine. Look at the lineups. Scroll down, look, okay, oh, this makes sense. Oh, I'm getting way, and that's what I did. I'm like, I want 40% of each of these guys, and I'm just like getting them together in all these lineups. And then on the bottom, I'm getting none of them. And so you get the projection gap, right? It starts clumping. Then I look at those lineups and I'm like, there's only so many ways that I could fit these two and be different enough that I want to be. Like I'm getting a lot of Texas with them. I'm getting a lot of Minnesota. Getting a lot of Cleveland. I'm like, I'm playing chalk with chalk. How do I not play chalk with chalk? Well, there's no other cheap stacks for me to play. I didn't want to play the Diamondbacks or the Pirates, so I'm like, so I guess I need to split them apart. Or do something. So you're using those settings for diversification purposes, depending on how diverse you want your lineups to be. There's no correct answer to that. You're playing 20 lineups. You're like, I'm going 100% on this slate. If you're like, I'm going to play 20 lineups, I'm going to play 20 Royal stacks. Well, how diverse can you be? You tried to do that. Look, we tried to do it before, right? I tried to build 20 lineups and unique players 3 with a 5-man like Royal stack with a 49K salary floor. Like it couldn't make the lineups. Mathematically, those lineups don't even exist. It'll make the first one and then go, how do I make 3 unique players? And there's no way to do it. Unless you have a salary floor of 45,000. Oh, then it could make 4 more lineups. So you're telling the optimizer, you're telling lineup HQ to do something that's mathematically impossible. So if your approach for a slate is like, I want to double down on like a select few teams, then you don't mind the teams being 2v2s, 1v1s of each other. I play a ton of the Astros. So some lineups have Taylor Jones, some lineups have Jacob Myers or whatever his name is. Some have this, some have Altuve instead of Gurriel, and you just have a lot of those types of combos. Yeah, you're not as diverse. But if that's what you want to do, you're like, I'm just done. If the Astros do well, I know I have all the combos. Okay, that's fine. But that's one. How many unique players can you possibly have in your lineup that way? So if you're like, I want to do that, but I also want to have 4 unique players. Well, how is that possible? I want to have the Astros 150 lineups as 5-man stacks, but also have 4 unique players. By the time you get to the 150 lineup, you're putting in pinch hitters, right? Because it's forcing that 5-man, and then you have 3 one-offs and 2 pitchers. You're putting in relief pitchers at that point. It's trying to get 4 uniques per lineup. It's like, how many combinations could there be? But your bottom lineups are going to be horribly projected because it's going to be like, well, I can't put in the top 74 projected players because they're not going to be unique enough, right? So you'd obviously have to turn them down. You wouldn't have to. You'd end up with very bad lineups at the bottom. These are just tools to make the lineups you want to make. Come up with it in your head. What lineups do I want to make before you touch anything? And then you go, okay, let me make them. You go to make them and you say, oh, well, I'm getting way too much of that and way too much of this. And then change something so that doesn't happen. In whichever way you can to make the lineups you want to make. When I first came to lineup HQ, if I reset everything, it's not going to make me Royal stacks. It's going to tell me your projection's really bad. Right? I can't even give you Royal stacks. So I had to do things in order to get them. Then if I said, oh, I'm going to make Royal stacks that spend at least, 49.9. It's going to go, nope, sorry, can't even do that. Right? Because it can't even play McCullers in those lineups. And if you play McCullers in Royal stacks, so you're playing both sides of the game, which is negative correlation, yeah, sure, you could do that. Right? If you switch max batters to opposing pitcher, it'll give you McCullers and the Royal stacks. That's going to be different. I probably don't do it. Do you play one batter against him? Okay, maybe that's a way to go. You play Sal Perez in a weak catcher spot, and you play McCullers. Okay. For a 3-game slate where one of the games is a 7-inning game, I don't think it's out of the question to play a batter against a pitcher, unless people are going to do that. And you get the one. McCullers has a great game, but gives up a solo home run to a player, and there aren't that many home runs on the slate. There's 3 total home runs on the slate. So okay, did you have the home run? Even though you had the highest, the top scoring pitcher and the second baseman that you have the outfielder. Benintendi gets a home run. But it's hard to have both, because when you're building lineups, when you're limiting that, when you're saying you can't have a batter versus a pitcher, you can do that. Am I choosing to in a 200-person contest, 300-person contest? No. You're playing large field stuff, perfectly viable. Would I prioritize that? No. But those lineups do exist. So I'm assuming Nerdy Tenor and Chad would run those lineups. Oh, wow. McCullers plus Sal Perez. Not going to get many of them, but you may get some. David Peters, MLS Liga MX Soccer All-Star Showdown game tonight. I ain't playing that. I haven't played MLS probably in 3.5, 4 years. MLS DFS. I've never played Liga. I may have played one Liga MX slate. Maybe one. I was desperate or something. Play EPL and Champions League now. I don't even play the Europa League stuff. I don't remember my roots. I used to play them all. MLS, I played all the time. Back in 2015 and 16, when my bankroll was much smaller and I was a soccer specialist. But David Peters has a call. Momo Yansane, I don't even know how to pronounce that, for all the money. So if you're playing the MLS Liga MX Soccer All-Star Showdown game tonight, play Momo. Apparently, that's what you do. Don't blame me if he fails. I have no idea who he is. Could have been making up a name for all I know. Okay, let's get out of here with give me the thumbs ups. Right, I'm going to put that lineup in. I'm telling you, the lineup that we built, that 3-3 whatever lineup, where the hell did it go? Right, I'm playing this lineup. This is the lineup that I'm playing. The highest projected, right, 94.27. How much am I giving up by playing this lineup? Who knows? Probably a lot. Lester, Marquez, Cardinals, Royals, the Astros, Marquez, Lester. Yeah, why not? Do it. Why not? What's the worst thing that happens? I lose about $150. It's fine. That's what we'll be playing. So hit the thumbs up button on your way out the door. Subscribe if you're new here. Hit the notification bell to know when we go live. We got a lot of stuff today. Wednesdays are jam-packed. We got Swolecast. We got the OGs sports betting show. I think Sean is coming out with a So Rare soccer NFT show or something. So it'll be posted. Got Grinders live later today. We got Crunch Time for premium members. We got anything else? Is anything after that? Do we have any golf shows that are named in ways that I don't understand? But maybe it was yesterday. We got a lot of stuff. We got the NFL schedule should be coming out soon. We got a ton of during NFL. It's like just nonstop everything. But I'll still be doing the pregame show. But there'll be a lot of stuff throughout the day. Devin is looking extremely forward to that, to having to basically work nonstop, like maybe 5 or 6 days a week, the entire day. It's great. But yeah, so thumbs ups, subscribes, bells. I'll see you tomorrow. I don't even think we have an early slate tomorrow. We may have a little one or something. But I'll be back here, as I always am, answering your DFS strategy questions on the DFS pregame show on RotoGrinders.com.